"Excuse me," a woman said nervously from behind him. Strike knew without turning that it was the dark woman from the pub. She had a home county's accent, and her tone contained that precise mixture of apology and excitement that he usually encountered in those who wanted to talk about his detective triumphs. "Yes," he said, turning to face the speaker. Her blonde friend had come with her, or perhaps, thought Strike, they were more than friends. An indefinable sense of closeness seemed to bind the two women, whom he judged to be around 40. They wore jeans and shirts, and the blonde in particular had the slightly weather-beaten leanness that suggests weekends spent hill-walking or cycling. She was what some would call a handsome woman, by which they meant that she was bare-faced. High-cheekboned, bespectacled, her hair pulled back into a ponytail, she also looked stern. The dark woman was slighter in build. Her large grey eyes shone palely in her long face. She had an air of intensity, even of fanaticism about her in the half-light, like a medieval martyr. Are you Cormoran Strike?" she asked. "Yes," he said, his tone uninviting. "Oh," she breathed, with an agitated little hand gesture. This is so strange. I know you probably don't want to be. I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're off duty," she gave a nervous laugh. "But my name's Anna, by the way. I wondered," she took a deep breath, whether I could come and talk to you about my mother." Strike said nothing. "She disappeared," Anna went on. "Margot Bambra's her name. She was a GP. She finished work one evening, walked out of her practice, and nobody's seen her since." "Have you contacted the police?" asked Strike. Anna gave an odd little laugh. "Oh, yes, I mean, they knew, they investigated, but they never found anything. She disappeared," said Anna, "in 1974. The dark water lapped the stone, and Strike thought he could hear the seal clearing its damp nostrils. 3 drunk youths went weaving past on their way to the ferry point. Strike wondered whether they knew the last ferry had been and gone at 6. "I just," said the woman in a rush, "you see, last week I went to see a medium." Thought Strike. He'd occasionally bumped up against the purveyors of paranormal insights during his detective career, and felt nothing but contempt for them, leeches, or so he saw them, of money from the pockets of the deluded and the desperate. A motorboat came chugging across the water, its engine grinding the night stillness to pieces. Apparently this was the lift the 3 drunk boys were waiting for. They now began laughing and elbowing each other at the prospect of imminent seasickness. "The medium told me I'd get a leading," Anna pressed on. "She told me, you're going to find out what happened to your mother, you'll get a leading, and you must follow it. The way will become clear very soon. So when I saw you just now in the pub, Cormoran Strike in the Victory, it just seemed such an incredible coincidence, and I thought I had to speak to you." A soft breeze ruffled Anna's dark, silver-streaked hair. The blonde said crisply, "Come on, Anna, we should get going." She put an arm around the other's shoulders. Strike saw a wedding ring shining there. "We're sorry to have bothered you," she told Strike. With gentle pressure, the blonde attempted to turn Anna away. The latter sniffed and muttered, "Sorry, I probably had too much wine. Hang on." Strike often resented his own incurable urge to know, his inability to leave an itch unscratched, especially when he was as tired and aggravated as he was tonight. But 1974 was the year of his own birth. Margot Bambra had been missing as long as he'd been alive. He couldn't help it. He wanted to know more. "Are you on holiday here?" "Yes," it was the blonde who had spoken. "Well, we've got a second home in Falmouth. Our permanent base is in London." "I'm heading back there tomorrow," said Strike. "What the are you doing?" asked a voice in his head. "But I could probably swing by and see you tomorrow morning in Falmouth, if you're free." "Really?" gasped Anna. He hadn't seen her eyes fill with tears, but he knew they must have done because she now wiped them. "Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. I'll give you the address." The blonde showed no enthusiasm at the prospect of seeing Strike again. However, when Anna started fumbling through her handbag, she said, "It's all right, I've got a card," and pulled a wallet out of her back pocket, and handed Strike a business card bearing the name Dr. Kim Sullivan, BPS registered psychologist, with an address in Falmouth printed below it. "Great," said Strike, inserting it into his own wallet. "Well, I'll see you both tomorrow morning then." "I've actually got a work conference call in the morning," said Kim. "I'll be free by 12. Will that be too late for you?" The implication was clear. "You're not speaking to Anna without me present." "No, that will be fine," said Strike. "I'll see you at 12 then." "Thank you so much," said Anna. Kim reached for Anna's hand and the two women walked away. Strike watched them pass under a streetlight before turning back towards the sea. The motorboat carrying the young drinkers had now chugged away again. It already looked tiny, dwarfed by the wide bay. The roar of its engine gradually deadened into a distant buzz. Forgetting momentarily about texting Robin, Strike lit a second cigarette, took out his mobile, and Googled Margot Bamborough. 2 different photographs appeared. The first was a grainy head and shoulders shot of an attractive, even-featured face with wide-set eyes, her wavy dark blonde hair centre-parted. She was wearing a long lapelled blouse under what appeared to be a knitted tank top. The second picture showed the same woman, looking younger and wearing the famous black corset of a Playboy bunny, accessorized with black ears, black stockings, and white tail. She was holding a tray of what looked like cigarettes and smiling at the camera. Another young woman, identically dressed, stood beaming behind her, slightly buck-toothed and curvier than her willowy friend. Strike scrolled down until he read a famous name in conjunction with Margot's. Young doctor and mother Margot Bamborough, whose disappearance on the 11th of October 1974 shared certain features with Creed's abductions of Vera Kenny and Gail Reitman. Bamborough, who worked at the St. John's medical practice in Clerkenwell, had arranged to meet a female friend in the local Three Kings pub at 6 o'clock. She never arrived. Several witnesses saw a small white van driving at speed in the area around the time that Bamborough would have been heading for her rendezvous. D.I. Bill Talbot, who led the investigation into Bamborough's disappearance, was convinced from an early stage that the young doctor had fallen victim to the serial killer known to be at large in the southeast area. However, no trace of Bamborough was discovered in the basement flat where Dennis Creed imprisoned, tortured, and killed 7 other women.